myfantasysportstalk.com.
Welcome back, my fantasy podcast peeps. It's been a while, but we're back. Another special presentation of my fantasy podcast from myfantasysportstalk.com, and another special guest, a follow-up today on today's podcast. So we cannot wait for it. This guy on today's podcast has been up to big things. He's been high flying all over the country. So cannot wait for that. I am Brendan Reed. My co-host is Dan Schalk. Daniel Schalk, how you been?
Doing pretty well. Busy time of year with the release of the draft guide and my fantasy sports talk covering all the not only baseball but fantasy football coming up. It's a big time for the site, so we've been busy over here. How about you, Brandon?
I've been good, but I got a feeling there's a young lady, Marissa Caruso, is going to be disappointed you didn't mention that you got a wedding coming up soon. I mean, forget the guide. You're about to get hitched. Big things going on.
Well, there's the guide, and then there's my wonderful soon-to-be wife. Speaking of, bridal shower Saturday. It's been a hectic time in the Schalk household. I've been running around like crazy. Stressful, but it'll be worth it. That's what I keep saying. It'll be worth it.
Orlando's back with us, Orlando Torres, and I know you've read and kept up with the guide, Orlando. You contributed to it as well, and I told Dan we're going to have to make an edit. I've got to edit to it that Anthony Miller will have a better fantasy season than Josh Gordon. Mark it down right now.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely got it, Mark. Excited for that. What he's been, some of the clips I've been seeing. I mean, I'm already hyped up for football. So with Anthony Miller talk as well, I mean, it's crazy. I'm excited for it.
Hey, let me ask you, because you missed the last podcast when we answered the questions, and Nick Pertins chimed in and talked about how did we feel, you and I specifically, about Dan's ranking of Josh Gordon being the third overall fantasy receiver this year. So you missed that podcast. So how do you feel about that? Is that you think Josh Gordon is going to have a big year as well, top three? What do you feel?
Oh, man, okay, I'm not going to go maybe that high right away, but, I like it. I like the ranking because – even though he ranked them right there in top 3, top 5, whatever you want to call it, I mean, it gets people talking. We got Nick talking. I mean, it's very different perspective than what you see on some of the other bigger sites. And it's a different perspective. So when you come to our site and look at our guy and you see that as a top 3, you look at everybody else's rankings, I mean, the way you stack them, I mean, I personally don't have a problem with that. I mean, it gets the people talking. Again, I probably wouldn't rank them that high in the top 3, but I don't have that much problem with it.
Bold predictions, Brandon. That's what we do here.
And I just made one. Anthony Miller is going to have a better fantasy year than Josh Gordon. So that's my bold prediction. But I can see it. It's possible. Josh Gordon is a freak athlete. I saw pictures of him the other day you guys kept sending me. So, yeah, dude is ripped. Dude's been in the gym. It's a possibility. He could have a big year. He's almost as ripped as our guest today, the high flyer, Brendan Griffin. High flyer BG is back, fresh off his tryout in Orlando at the WWE training facility. So welcome back, man. You've been up to big things, and I kind of noticed you took a little bit of a hiatus from Instagram. You were posting training videos just almost every day, but you had to take a little bit of a break from that because you had big things going on in Orlando.
Yeah, so we got to get back to that. Kind of have had a crazy month here with Orlando, my anniversary, my girlfriend's birthday. So it's been a lot of fun things, and now it's time to kind of get back to the content. We have some fun things in the works, so we're just kind of leading up and getting everyone excited for the next steps we have and things we're going to be posting.
Also, July is a hot month for BG, guys. A lot going on there. So let's just lead into it. We saw you probably about a month or so ago. You're on the People's Podcast with those guys, Matty Savage and them. Do a great job. They had you on first. We had to follow up and get you on as well. You just did a podcast with them this week. So we wanted to bring you in and just kind of do an update with you. So in case everyone missed that first podcast, go check it out. But this guy basically had a tryout at the WWE training facility in Orlando, Florida. So first, I just want to kind of lead us into this. What I'm really curious to know, Brendan, is first off, what was going through your head when you actually pulled up to that training facility in the parking lot and thought to yourself for the first time, damn, this is real? What kind of thoughts are going through your head?
So we had specific directions when we pulled up. I was in a car with 3 other people who I had just first met at the airport, and in email we had specific directions. We had to enter the facility, how they wanted us to come in, etc. So when we pulled up and followed those directions, all the doors were locked. So we're then kind of going around door to door, and I didn't want to be the person knocking on the wrong door because I feel like with opportunities like that, everything's a test right from the airport to the minute you step out and start training. So I kind of wanted everyone else to be the wrong person knocking on the door. So
You're kind of on your toes, almost like it's April Fool's Day all day long, right? You just never know who's testing you.
Exactly. So it was like and they have cameras everywhere nowadays. Someone could be sitting watching on their phone back in Connecticut at home office. So it wasn't really a test. The doors were just locked. So long story short, that's how it started. And then we walked in for our physicals, and it just happened so fast. I honestly didn't really have a chance to even comprehend it all going down, other than, hey, let's make sure that we don't go in the wrong door and get screamed at. And that was it. That was Wednesday night, and we went for physicals, and then there for about 2 hours, and then went back to the hotel and then kind of prepared for the next day's activities.
So that lets me know right there you're a calm, cool cat, because if you got that about you, and I'm sure that kind of extends from your playing sports and your athletic career as well, kind of like when you're on the field, you ain't got time to think about it. You ain't got time to be nervous. You don't have time to overthink things. You're just in the moment, and you're trying to do your best every single moment, even if that just means just getting in the door at the training facility. So I understand that. But so what was your impression of the training facility itself? I've got to think WWE goes all out, state-of-the-art facility. Just overall, what was your impressions when you pulled up and actually got to view everything?
Yeah, so honestly, I just got chills thinking about it. The facility itself is just, everything's so state-of-the-art. Everything's clean. Everything's put together in a good format. Everything they have is kind of structured, how they set up their weights, their speed section, where their rings are. It's just not like a gym, like a high school or a college gym, where it's just kind of like thrown together. It's really state of the art. It's a professional facility. So that was awesome. Kind of thinking like, wow, imagine training here every day. I train in a nice facility now, but it's different going to any type of professional sports team or organization like that. So that was first part, was like, wow, I wish I was here every day training.
So it's got to be world-class type of state-of-the-art, like if you were to play for the Yankees or, a world-class organization, because that's what WWE is basically. They're a world-class professional sports organization. So I imagine it's definitely top-notch and a little bit breathtaking and just beautiful to see everything like that. And I know you were impressed, and as long as you weren't intimidated and jumped right in there. But I also want to ask, so you were there, this went on for a total of what, 4 days? You were there 4 days?
So Wednesday we had physicals, so that wasn't really a training day. That was kind of more or less a meet and greet. Then Wednesday was training, Thursday training. Wednesday meet and greet, Thursday training, Friday training, Saturday half day, and then back on an airplane back to Providence, Rhode Island. So it was fast. I should call it 4 days, because in full travel and all that, it worked out to be 4 days.
Okay, so give me the itinerary for kind of each day. Just briefly kind of go through your day. You said you start out with physicals, meet and greet on Wednesday, then you had training day, half training day. So what was the daily itinerary like for those 3.5 days or so?
So the training was from 8 to 5-ish. There was a 2-hour break, like an hour for lunch, and then they had another hour break in between, where they just kind of broke it up so people could get change of clothes if they needed, or go get protein shakes or whatever they needed those intense days. So they gave people opportunity to kind of go out and grab what they needed to get back. And that was Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday they did basically a warm up, and then people that were actual wrestlers or wrestled professionally were involved in wrestling matches. So the rest of us kind of watched as if you were at a NXT or a WWE event, and they cheered everyone on, and it was solid. It was really solid. So that was kind of the way it worked out, and then at the end of the day, each day, except for the last day, we went back to the hotel. Some people went out to eat. I used that time to kind of recover, and I did have an injury when I was down there, so that was my time to get myself back right away and build up for the remaining part of the trip.
So that's kind of introductory. We're talking with Brendan Griffin, High Flyer BG on Twitter and Instagram. So real quick, go ahead and give that to the folks at home again, how to get in contact with you or contact you on social media, your Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that.
So it's all High Flyer BG11, Instagram, Twitter. I also use Vero now. It's another social media app. Same thing, High Flyer BG11. And my Facebook page is High Flyer BG11, and we're all working on that YouTube. So that thing takes off too. So much to manage.
Let me kick it over to Dan now. Dan, what's your thoughts, questions for Brendan, and just the response that you've seen off of the first podcast we did with him, and just the interaction with folks and wanting to hear more from him, and just everything from the last time we talked to him.
Yeah, well, I do have a question pertaining to the training, but I mean, having the High Flyer with us, I think we all saw the numbers of the first podcast that was just on Facebook, the website and everything. So views and people want to know, about Brendan and his journey, I guess, because we prepped up this training facility so much, and now that it's here, and now just from what you said, it kind of threw me a little bit. You said you had an injury, so I just want to know what kind of happened with that and how it affected you, not only obviously physically, but that has to be such a mental strain on you, knowing that you're hurt in a training time that could, impact your career so much. So my first thought is how mentally that affected you, and how were you able to kind of withstand that, and what was the injury?
So the injury was ribs. I went into the ropes. We ran the ropes. Never ran the ropes before. I kind of thought that the ropes were more like resistance bands than telephone cables. So I didn't go into the ropes correctly and kind of absorb the hit and hit my ribs and bruised them pretty bad. And then the rest of the day, a lot of the movements were things I hadn't done before. So when I was doing the flips and the rolls and stuff like that, I was landing again on the same area that was already injured. So that was the first day, first thing really in the morning. So I then, went through the day, and then Thursday night kind of mentally decided how would I go about Friday, and would I go see the trainer? Would I not say anything? Would I just sit out? Would I try to sit out then and come back Saturday morning? So I just kind of mentally addressed where I was and what I wanted to do going forward, whether I had the best tryout of my life or the worst tryout of my life, and how I would have an attack plan for each situation. And I think being an older athlete versus a younger athlete, I value recovery and making smart athletic decisions versus proving to everyone in the room that I might be tough or the toughest person there or want to be the toughest person there. Being mentally strong and saying, well, I have nothing to prove to anyone other than, myself to be the best I can be. Let's take the tough side out of things. And if you're hurt, then don't injure yourself more to prove something. So those are things I talked about with my girlfriend, a couple of my friends, the gentleman that was my roommate. And I decided that in the morning I would speak to the trainer. And if they told me to sit out, then I'd sit out and I'd ice it. And if that was what held me back this tryout, then I'd take what I learned, apply it like a business, and figure out how to scale it up going forward, whether it's going back, training hopefully, which I'm doing now, to relearn the movements and be better at that, and stay in front of the people that I met at WWE and make the best out of the situation, right? Because you only can handle the cards that you dealt. You can't, recreate the stack. So that's the way I looked at it, and I was pretty happy with my decision, and that's how I went about it. So, I don't really look back and say, oh, well, what if this happened or that happened? I think the whole trip was a success, and I see future opportunity, and some things have already transpired. So I have no regrets, and I think it was a good decision.
That's a delicate line, a fine line to walk when you have some sort of injury like that in a training or a tryout session. You really see that. I think I usually see that. I watch Hard Knocks, the training camp that's on HBO, the NFL training camp every single year, and that usually happens to one or more athletes. You get a little bit of an injury, but if you sit out, that means you're probably going to be cut or moved on down the line. So you have to try to stick it out if you can, but you don't want to risk serious injury. And so it happens. I think it's even happened when WWE had the Tough Enough series, so things like that happen. That's a real delicate fine line you have to walk there. Orlando, what's on your mind for BG?
All right. So if you encountered somebody kind of like the same mindset you have going forward, staying in the same place, going to a performance center like that, what would be advice you would give someone, someone going into that to, help them, give them a better mindset of what to expect?
So it depends. If it's an athlete, let's say they're a football player, I would go out and find a local wrestling school and really focus on learning the roles and running the ropes. It's definitely different than taking a football hit with gear on. Just those skills alone will be a tremendous help. And if you're a wrestler, then just really practice running the ropes for 2, 3, 4 minute times without stopping and really getting your cardio up. One thing that for me, my cardio was in a good place where I wasn't, I was winded, but I wasn't sucking, for air. It was just a matter of not knowing the movements, and the movements being so new to me that potentially injuring myself from not actually knowing, the steps and, where to place my body correctly. So I think that's, most solid advice I could give to any athlete trying to prepare for the WWE. And the other thing is they bring people back second, third, fourth. Some guys were there for their fifth time. So it's like anything else. It's networking. Once you're in the door, it's your chance to party. However you want to party and go about that party is, it's up to you. So keep good relationships, make good contacts, stay in front of the people, show the people you want it, and come up with a plan for yourself. Not everyone's going to be The Rock. Not everyone's going to be John Cena. But there are a lot of guys that they'll bring in for special acts, and you grow your social media and grow your presence and want to take those opportunities, then, the opportunities will be there. WWE is growing at a rapid pace. They're in Japan. They're in other countries. NXT is super hot. They're doing their first ever women's pay-per-view. So this is the time that they're really at it. So take that advice and find your place.
And so, if I'm not mistaken, this was your first taste of wrestling, period, ever, right? First time you had ever been in a wrestling ring or tried to, run the ropes or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I did it on my trampoline, but who didn't? I mean, that's fake right there. That's so fake. So yeah, absolutely. First time I've ever done any of those moves. So definitely a lot different. Last week I went to a local facility and spoke to some of the guys that are been wrestling for a while and did more of the movements and already feel more comfortable doing them. So yeah, there's opportunity. I have some things that are going on locally. An event with some former WWE guys that is coming up that I'm going to, not going to say I'm going to be in a match, but I'm going to be part of and start to get my swagger out there.
So I listened to the People's Podcast and already knew the answer to this, but let me hear your response and your chuckle a little bit. Is wrestling fake?
Yeah, I guess that's a 2 yes and no. So there's acting involved, and it's really good acting, but hitting the ropes, not fake. When they do use chairs and stuff like that, hit people, they hit people. The tables are real. They're not, as some people said, oh, they're just cardboard. No, that's not the case. The ring moves a lot because the guys weigh a lot. So there's a lot to it. It's not UFC. I mean, it's not Conor McGregor out there blasting people with elbows and knees, but there's an element to it that's super real. Concussions are real. Guys get concussions. So for those people that think that, oh, let me just jump in the ring and act it out, there's a lot that goes into it. Just knowing how to execute a match, working with a partner, and having partner chemistry is something that's hard. You've got to be able to get along. You've got to be able to be humble and take the fall and not always win. So a lot goes into it. That's why wrestlers like The Rock became great actors, because they had super training and focus and discipline, and it worked out well for them. So I think there's a lot of life lessons that can be learned from just trying wrestling once. And I suggest if young kids are interested in high school, go to a practice, see if it's for you. It might translate well into other sports.
So let me ask you this, and you also kind of touched on it at the beginning, as far as just your initial, invitation in getting to the parking lot and even trying to get in the door, as you were talking about, with cameras everywhere. So let me ask you this: was there pressure for you to try to execute flawlessly in everything you did, because you knew there were critical eyes watching in every single thing you did, even from probably the way you entered a ring? So did you feel a little bit of that, or were you, again, just in the moment, you just weren't even thinking about that?
So that's a great question. I think, yeah, absolutely. In line, waiting to do the movements and getting up, there was definitely anxiety there. It was something that I could turn off if I was playing baseball, pitching, or up to bat, or in a basketball game, a football game. But for something like this that I never done, that experience, like anything else, with time and experience, you are able to overcome those fears or those anxieties and tune them out and just be an athlete. A good athlete is someone that doesn't think, they just go out there and does. So I think some of my movements, not knowing and overthinking them, might have led to being a little tighter and less loose and not executing the way I could. So in the back of my mind, yeah, that was there. I wasn't like, oh my God, it's my turn. What do I do if they scream at me? But it's just one of those thought processes in your brain that's there and might slightly limit you from being the best that you can. I think anyone has that, though, in any sport. It's just over time you overcome it and work with it and kind of know that it's there. And when you know it's there in other sports and you've experienced it, it's kind of a good thing, because you're in the moment.
Yep, definitely. Orlando, you got something else for BG?
Not at the moment.
I just overwhelmed, huh? Orlando's overwhelmed even hearing about it.
It really is, though. I mean, hearing about everything, I mean, him painting us what he went through, it kind of puts you in the mindset of what he went through, and like, how, you're excited to be there, but at the same time, you're just trying not to mess up, because, I mean, even though he says, they call a lot of people back for second, third, fourth, fifth times, like, you really do want to shine in that first opportunity that you get.
I was talking to Orlando before he went on air, and he was he's like, man, I'm still going to pursue my dream of doing this wrestling thing. And I think BG has just talked him straight up out of that. So those ropes hurt.
I thought those tables were cut in half already.
So no matter what, if it's about how you take your opportunity and look at it and grow from there. It's not about at that moment being the best or the worst or just okay. I think that, just like I talked to some of the people at the tryout, it wasn't a competition with the 45 people there. It was a competition with yourself, and what are you going to come out of it, and what are you going to learn from about yourself, about the sport, about life, and then apply it going forward. So there will be opportunities for people in life, whether it's something like WWE or not, that might not be the best at, but you could learn a lot from it. And what you take out of that and those people that you're around during that event is potentially life-changing in some areas.
And I think that was your expectations when we talked to you a month ago going into it. That nothing more, nothing less. Maybe to just learn from the process. So I think you had the right mindset going into it and the right attitude. And we'll see where it goes. It's not over. It's not over. So something else I'm curious about though, that when you mentioned wrestlers and athletes both trying out, and you kind of mentioned that maybe you were one of the more older athletes, but what do you think was the average age of guys at the training facility trying out and pursuing this dream?
So when I say older athlete, I don't want to be considered old. No, but there was guys that were 37 years old. There was guys that were 23, 25. I'd say the average age would be 27, 28.
Oh, so you're right in that sweet spot then.
Yeah, and there was girls there too, around my age. I think when I say older though, at 23 years old or 18 or 25, I would have gone out there and flipped till I broke my neck. And being someone that doesn't know what they're doing as an athlete and going out there and trying to be tough or prove a point is not a smart athlete. That's someone that's could potentially injure themselves, injure someone else, and it doesn't bring good energy and good light to what you're trying to accomplish. So I think, growing older in anything, you kind of value what you're going through and try to look at the why. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? What do I want to do with this? And is it worth it to me for my future? And then you decide from there what your plan is. So that's really why I say older athlete. I think just kind of experiencing things and training myself a little differently, thinking about my body and thinking about my mind and future and strategic business moves in sports and training. That's where I came up with, I'm not going to go out there and flip till I break my neck. My ribs collapse. That's it. Just try to think smarter and, work smarter, not harder.
I get you. Now, Dan would tell you you're old for an NFL running back, though, Brandon. If you're thinking about pursuing that dream, you're approaching over the hill for that, but you're still within the range of the WWE career. But I get you because I'm kind of one that lived like that as well. I didn't go to college straight out of high school. I was kind of in my early to mid 20s before I even really full-time went to college, and I think I appreciated it more just because I was older, more mature, and ready to take on, first of all, the financial burden, but take it more seriously and maybe knew, mentally what my interests are, what would I like to pursue as a actual career. So I get you there. And I completely understand that. Dan, you got any other questions for BG?
No, I think we're probably going to follow this all up with, what's next. I've started following all your social media, and I look forward to it. I checked out some of the videos you have on there. It's good stuff. If not only are you looking to get healthy and get in shape, but you're a motivator. Obviously, we can tell with you speaking here, but that's what you're looking to do, and just tell us what's that next step. What's obviously with this tryout coming to an end, you never know in the future, but what are your plans, at least in the short term? What goals do you have?
And let me throw in also to that, tell us about the top rope experience I heard you talking about with the People's Podcast guys and that.
Yeah, so I'm going to work out with Top Rope. They've brought a lot of guys to WWE, and they're like indie scene wrestling. They're doing something with guys in Rhode Island next month. That's what I mentioned, that I'm going to go meet some of the guys, and a couple of the people that were wrestlers at my WWE experience will be actually down there wrestling. So I'm going to work out with them. I just got reached out by a semi-pro football team in the last couple of weeks that trying to get me to come play tight end. So we'll see where that is. I'm just going to keep training hard. Obviously, keep posting on social. See if I get a call back from WWE right now. Stay in their face. Stay just grinding and keep potentially getting more and more opportunities. Growing my social, getting out there, trying to motivate people, teach people about health, nutrition, positive thinking, ways to excel in life, social media, whatever that they're trying to pursue in their life, and do it all with happiness. Try to be happy and enjoy the moment, and enjoy what you're doing, right? Because if you like what you're doing, that positive energy rubs off wherever you go. So I left WWE. I got on the plane. I had nothing but good energy. Nothing bothered me. So try to get people to find those things that they really love doing and kind of think outside the box and just keep grinding. I think that's really the name of the game. And when you push hard and you have that good energy and you surround yourself with people that are motivated and people like yourself that stay in contact and bring up opportunities, good things happen for everyone. So that's kind of how I look at it. And I'm just going to keep pushing the best that I can.
And one last thing I heard you talking about on the People's Podcast, I want to give you another opportunity just to give some shout outs and thanks to some people that you spent time with at the WWE training facility. So I don't mean to put you on the spot. I know you don't maybe not have your list there and can't include everybody, but just the names off the top of your head. Just who do you want to give thanks to, from your experience at the WWE training facility?
So number one, I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine that I made down there. He played football at the University of Miami. He was someone that really inspired me right off the get-go. When he did his promo, talked about when he was a kid, he was one of the faces on TV asking for $1 a day to come to America. So he was, overseas in another country, and that was someone that I looked at and said, "Wow, he made something with his life. He went and played. He played in the NFL. He played in college. He's now here." So his name's Sonny O. Another kid, Ricardo, I met. He played football at Michigan. Was a tight end, doing some cool things. Another inspirational guy, Chelsea Green. She's out in indie scene. She was on Tough Enough. She will be definitely a WWE star. Who else? I'm trying to think. There was so many people I had on that list. Who else should I? All the people at the training facility, definitely the people that helped me get in and got my opportunity. People locally, people at Top Rope, my girlfriend, my family, my friends, everyone that's always supported me. That's it. It's tough. I don't have a big list this time, so but everyone that was there, I thanks for all the support.
I got you. And like you said, networking, communication, stay in touch and stay on top of it. Stay in their face, as you said, the high flyer BG, Brendan Griffin. So, man, we appreciate your time today, and we definitely want to keep following up with you. I don't care what you want to talk about. If you want to jump on our fantasy football league, that's fine too. I really don't care. But let's just stay in touch, and we'll have you back for another one.
Yeah, definitely, guys. I'm excited. We'll do some more.
I'm curious to know, and I'd like to have you back after that event in the 1st of August, that Top Rope. I guess was it a Top Rope event?
Yeah, so Top Rope's part of it. Some of the guys are in it. I don't know if Top Rope's sponsoring it. It's at McCoy Stadium in Rhode Island. I think it's August 10th. So let's do something after that. I know some former NWO guys are going. I think Kevin Nash and X-Pac, Mick Foley's supposed to be there. So there should be a good crew of people, some former stars, as you said, old athletes out there. So, I'll definitely have some good information. We can crush it at the end of August.
Yep, definitely. Let's try to get some video of that too. I want to know what your role is going to be in that, and just document it the best you can. So we'll put something together and have you back then. So appreciate it, man. Appreciate the time. You're welcome anytime. So just holler at us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And shout out to Smack Talk. I know those guys are probably watching, so we can't forget those guys. Those guys are the best.
Yep, they do a great job, and I can tell they're a little bit more giddy when you're in their studio with them. Just the presence there, it feels like it's a little bit more real. So they did a great job as well. Orlando, have you back next time, man. Fantasy football draft coming up soon. Hope you're ready.
Yeah.
He's not ready.
It doesn't sound like it. I don't know. He's got a plan at all. I don't know that he's thought about it at all. I hope you've read the guide.
He doesn't want to read it, obviously. He doesn't care about the guide.
Just $1, man.
Yeah, no. I've definitely read the guide. I've been telling everybody about it. You're crazy. $1 for 80 pages in Dan's words, fantasy goodness. Like, come on, that's a complete steal.
It is a complete steal, just $1. And again, that guide, you can check out our website, myfantasysportstalk.com. Purchase that guide for just $1. The proceeds go to the Wounded Warrior Project and the Susan G. Komen Foundation. So, Dan, last words. What's up next for us?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's busy. We're just gonna keep doing what we're doing. Visit the site, fantasy football, baseball. I guess the next show we're probably gonna have the Pertons on. We'll talk some fantasy baseball smack because they're beating both of us. So yeah, Orlando's just way back there. I think he forgot it's still going on baseball season. So
started out like 6-0, then crazy.
I'm watching my players drop like flies right now. Everybody going to the DL. It's ridiculous.
I know what that's like. So fantasy football coming up. Check out the guide, myfantasysportstalk.com. And thanks for joining us for another My Fantasy podcast. Thanks for Brendan Griffin, High Flyer BG11. Check him out Instagram and Twitter and see what he's going to be up to next. Could be in that WWE ring real soon. So appreciate it, guys. For Orlando Torres, Dan Chalk, I'm Brandon Reed. Till next time. Later. Peace.